Hello and welcome to the Ms. Wonderful Film Club podcast. I am your host, Jana Marie Rose, also known as Ms. Wonderful for the purposes of the film industry discussions here. And I am met with my best friend from college, Ms. Cool, who is Katie McGraw. Are we just sticking to McGraw? Or are we putting your
We can
hyphen in
stick with
there?
the
Okay,
McGraw.
all right.
That's
I
that's how
always
I kind
feel
of identify.
I feel partial to your McGraw.
My maiden name.
Yeah, because
That's cool.
that was your nickname in college. We called you McGruff.
Yes.
Why did we do that?
Because you had to play those PSAs by McGruff at the radio station at Villanova. And you heard
Oh,
McGruff, and you, of course, like everyone else does with Irish names, I feel like, with MC names, started just calling McGraw McGruff.
oh, because was it the crime dog? Because I feel like we
It's the
called you
crime
McGruff
dog.
the crime
Yes,
dog.
and then it had that song where it was like Scruff McGruff, who was like the puppy pal to McGruff. And it was like Scruff McGruff, call whatever it was, some hotline number for if you needed help or I don't know.
Okay, so I have like vague recollection. So for anybody listening or watching this, I did a radio show at Villanova when I was a college student, and my radio show was the Janorama show, and I had many guests who are my friends basically, and we just talked, you know, and meandered in our conversations and played a little bit of music. But there were these big, they were like, do you remember? It was like a big tape. It was chunky. You
Yes.
had to stick it in.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't
Like an
remember
eight
any.
track.
Yeah, it was like, that's what it was. It was called an 8 track, and we had to play them like a certain number an hour, I guess, like one an
Yeah.
hour. I only had a 2 hour show, so I guess we got to pick. Did I get to pick? I probably could pick whatever one, and I imagine that
Maybe.
I would have
Sometimes
picked
you
that
would do
one.
it and then you would sing along with it with maybe somebody else, not me in the studio, and be like, Katie McGruff, Chicago, Illinois, 86, whatever it was. I would
Yeah.
just be listening in my bed because that was like when it was really early in the morning and you were playing it. And you're like, oh, thanks, guys.
Yeah, the fun thing was it was I got the 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. Tuesday mornings and Thursday mornings. It was the time slot. I can't even believe that I was able to get college students, a few, maybe a smattering of about five, to
Maybe.
actually tune in and to WXVU. I wonder if it's still around, if Villanova still has a radio
I'm
station.
sure it still is. A lot of college radio stations stick around when they have like a broad audience or can
Yeah, but they
reach.
never did have a broad audience, but still
But
we
like,
tried.
there's the Towson University radio station in my neck of the woods, and it's like a big station. They're always broadcasting. They have different kinds of music, and it is like it's more profesh because they've expanded and all of that, but it is still like students that are doing these shows that have like various musical tastes.
Yeah.
So
It
I
was
feel like if that's still going strong, I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if Villanova wasn't still doing their thing.
I'm gonna have to try and like see if I can access it or if they have like an online, because it was just, you know what I loved about the radio station? By the way, today we're talking about Jerry Maguire from 1996, and the writer and director Cameron Crowe is a big music guy, and he also did Almost Famous, and he has a book out right now called The Uncool. I have not read this book. I just found out about it, but it's all about his journey in covering musicians because he started
Yes.
out as a reporter for.
And he was like 15.
Yeah, yeah. So, and Almost Famous was kind of based on his life, which is the Cameron Crowe film that I've watched the least and remember the least, and everybody seems to love
Yeah.
that one, but I love Jerry Maguire. Anyway, the thing that was cool about the radio station was it had this great smell. Do you remember the smell of that radio station? That sounds weird to say the smell, but there was something about like old records
Musty
or
and warm.
it wasn't, yeah, and it's not like a typical mustiness. It just had its own scent that was like, I guess no windows had maybe been open, but you had all the
Yeah.
vinyl, you had CDs, and so there was something about the smell that was so comforting every time I walked into the radio station. It just
Well,
felt
it
like,
was a warm, kind of closed, very, I don't know, sort of not, from what I'm remembering, a little hovelly, but in a like nice way,
Yes.
like cozy
Yes.
kind of place.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it had like all kinds of different smells that came together to make the scent of Villanova radio.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah. It was just a good time. And I mean, it was just I remember my first year was Radiohead had come out with OK Computer
Hmm.
that year. And so that was something I remember being a big deal. The new Radiohead had dropped, and it was
Yep.
like we had to listen to it and like consider it and experience it because when a Radiohead album came out, it was like that. But other than that, I don't really remember what I played, although I used to like always constantly be thinking, what am I going to
Hmm.
play at my next radio show? And then I had, five Rosemont students listening, which was you and a couple other people. And then
I'm sure there were some other people out there that caught it.
yeah, and sometimes my family members, who were in on the main line would like
Yeah.
try to tune in for the little bit of the radius of like the five
Yeah.
mile radius where they could hear us on the radio show. It was fun. It was a
Yeah.
fun.
It was, I mean, you're hitting a lot of like, for that part of town, there's a bunch of colleges and stuff that are up and down the main line that probably got the station. So I wouldn't be
Yeah,
surprised.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
And you got better time slots once you got further, year over year. You got some like nighttime time
I did.
slots.
I got a Saturday night time slot or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like probably the highlight.
Yeah. Yeah. Although people were busy at 7 to 9 on a Saturday. I don't know. Do people listen to the radio? I don't know. Do you still listen to the radio? Do you ever turn on the radio instead of like streaming things now?
I do sometimes, but it is not my go-to anymore. And also because, well, because I'm so out of listening to the radio, there are stations that I used to hit up that were like your Mix 106s and stuff, where it's like the kind of standard fare, some new, some old. But then they've slowly gotten bought out by other stations. So it'll be like, oh, this is like now a gospel channel, and then this is like just country. So like I don't even know what the channels are except for Jack FM, which is the very like I'm sure it's in other places where it's basically like listening to dad rock, maybe some mom rock too, but like stuff that's from the
70s.
70s into early 2000s. And
Oh,
sadly, early 2000s is already now like old.
I know. I know. What's an
That the
example
songs
of
we used
dad
to
rock
listen to are
though?
now like oldies.
What's an example of dad rock?
Dad rock, it'll
Like the
be like
Eagles
there's
like that band, the Eagles or something?
well
Or
like the
Don Henley?
Eagles,
Don Henley.
yeah. Um, but then it'll at this point like even some Vampire Weekend, some Killers,
That's
like because
dad
they can
rock?
some of it is, yes. Now
Young
some of
dad
it's
rock.
older, but you
That's like
know,
hip dad rock though. That has to be hip dad rock.
we're hipster. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true, but
That's like a
it's
dad
like a
with really
mix.
cool shoes, like the dad who has shoes that come up a little bit above his ankle and they're leather and they're
Maybe.
a little European. That's a Vampire Weekend dad.
Maybe, although like with the
I think.
Killers and Live and some of
Oh,
that.
live is definitely dad rock.
Yeah. And I know this also because it's like in the Dad Rock list, playlist that my husband has. So, and he will just listen to all of that over
Mm.
and over again. A little U2,
Mm.
REM.
Oh my God, you two and REM are total dad rock.
I know.
Okay, I'm feeling it
You
now.
see it?
I was like, yeah, because I was kind of stuck in like 70s, some of that
There's some of that.
Led Zeppelin, but that's like older dad rock
That's more
maybe.
like my dad.
Yeah, okay, that's grandpa rock.
I guess nowadays, I
That's
still think of
grandpa
him as
rock.
dad,
All
but
right.
yeah,
It's grandpa, dad. Yeah, okay. Like or a mix of the two.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Ours is more Gen X millennial. That's the old of our time.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
still in in my heart and my psyche like 22. So I just
I
don't
know.
quite understand
I
how.
know, but then when you do listen to some music like I do from, Jack, my son, um, I realize how truly out of touch I am and how
Yeah,
I don't really care to try to get in touch with
I know.
some of it.
That's a part of getting older too, where you're just like, I don't need to be
I
hip.
don't
I'm
care.
just stuck in the
Yeah.
90s and I'm gonna keep listening to 90s stuff.
Yeah. I'm just gonna do what my parents would do, where I just remember being in the car in the old station wagon, listening to tunes that my mom or dad would put on, particularly my mom. It was either radio or it'd be tapes. And that was always like, she had some good stuff. Whitney Houston, you know, little Bette Midler, Carly Simon, big one.
Yeah,
But then later
yeah.
on, Sarah McLachlan,
Right.
like
Oh,
she's the one who kind of introduced that to me.
your mom took us to Sarah McLachlan,
I
and your
know.
mom, I think your mom came with us to Tori Amos too.
She did.
Your mom was pretty into the music. I was always like, look at this, Katie's
Yeah, no,
mom.
she's always been more into that. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So she'll keep up to a certain degree. But
Yeah.
yeah, no complaint. She's the one who took me to Lilith Fair.
Right. Your mom was really into Lilith Fair. I remember that.
Yes, yes. And now, like, I was watching the documentary on Hulu, which was really good and also a good reminder of all the different acts that were in it and how crazy and awesome it was, the way that it all got built up. And truly, it is like you see the backlash against a lot of those female artists, how it was so misogynistic in the record industry then, and then it like the next big groups that were coming up after Lilith Fair were like, and no shade, but Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, the early kind of teeny boppery stuff where it
Mhm.
was like, we don't want to have too much sincere singer-songwriter sounds out of you guys, out of you ladies.
Interesting.
And also they like used to not let radio stations would not play all women or more than one or two. They wouldn't play back-to-back women on their station. It would be like one woman song and then it had to be somebody else because they'd be like, it's too much and people will turn the channel.
Really?
For real, that was a thing. It's
That's
like there was so much
crazy.
going on and we were there, but we didn't even know.
No, but we were coming. I mean, it was coming out,
We're
like some
coming
of that
to
stuff
it.
was coming to light because, yeah, we were studying that in college. But
Yeah.
so it's so funny because speaking of that, like Fiona Apple was a thing back then. I mean, Fiona Apple, I think is really good musician. Like, so
Oh yeah.
I was working at this restaurant a couple years ago, and I told the owner, I was like, I would always have these visions for my like sketch comedy, and like, I would of course share them with all the people at the bar, and they all liked my ideas. It could have been because they were drunk, but it could have also been because I have good
I
ideas.
mean,
I
a
don't know.
like is a like.
I'm like, yeah. So I was like, this is so weird. And the owner of this restaurant just rolls his eyes at me, but he's like a fun guy, I like him. So I was like, what if you do a Fiona Apple night and like the whole night you're playing Fiona Apple songs and you have apple pie?
I can
That's
sort of
only in,
see why we wouldn't go for that. It
that's
would be
only
more
in
of
my
a
world.
cute,
Like
yeah,
who would come? But also like the courage to try, right? Like the
right.
courage to like seriously advertise. It's Fiona Apple night at the tap room. Show up, have some apple
Yeah,
pie, and listen to Fiona Apple and all your like feminine anguish. Just like let it be known, right?
yes, I agree, but
I think
I
it would
can
be
see how for
it.
that restaurant, it wasn't going to be like a draw
Yeah,
in their
that's not
mind.
his audience. I still like I dream of things like that. What would
I
it
know.
look like? I mean, maybe that fits like maybe my ideas aren't for real life. They're more for like an SNL episode. Like that would be a
Maybe.
funny SNL episode as opposed
It's
to
a
like
very
real.
niche, or if you were in like some trendier kind of coffee shop that was also like into playing some retro music and they would have like not a whole night
Yes.
devoted to an artist, but like, oh, this hour, and you hear their
Okay.
music, and they
Okay.
have maybe some themes around it in their whatever they're serving.
Yes. So you can do okay. So you can do a Fiona Apple night or afternoon. An afternoon of
Whatever you want.
Fiona Apple music with apple pie at a coffee shop. All right, all right. Yeah. Not where the guys go to get their beer and watch sports, but at a coffee shop, it might be possible. I
Right.
just kind of think it would be fun to have a bunch of guys at the bar listening to Fiona Apple. Like that's
I could see, that's one of those things where maybe you start to like slowly roll it into the rotation. So it's like background noise anyway. You're hearing music, and then, you just alternate. Like
like a little by
there's an
little, the guys
Aerosmith
are like,
song, and then there's, Criminal, Fiona Apple. And then it's just like you just kind of see, you test the waters. Then maybe you put in a different,
then
female
Shadow
musician.
Boxer, and then the guy's just like, wait, this like a lot of Fiona Apple tonight? Like, oh yeah, really? I didn't know. I wasn't. Oh, I
Right.
guess maybe I don't know. It's a glitch or something. And they're like, it's just a lot of Fiona Apple for one night.
If they can even identify it at this point, I don't know. You just be like, she's a new singer-songwriter. Don't worry about it. Just featuring her.
Oh God. I
But
just kind of,
anyway,
yeah, I love my visions. Just they entertain me. In the dark
sure.
times, I these are the things I think about, and then I'm not sad anymore because
Yeah.
I imagine that there might be a tap room somewhere around Philadelphia that plays Fiona Apple music all night and serves apple pie and celebrates Fiona Apple. Like I just, anyway, moving
Anything could
on.
happen.
Anything can happen.
It's true.
Um, okay. So speaking of Jerry Maguire, so Cameron Crowe's really big on music, but
Of course.
this particular movie from 1996 is not a it's not a big soundtrack movie like singles from Cameron Crowe. It was all about the
Right.
Pearl Jam and the Seattle grunge. But this one, the big song was Bruce Springsteen's Secret Garden. Do you remember how big it
Yes.
was? And on the
I know.
radio, so when
They'd
you
have the
would
movie
hear,
edits in it.
they had the movie, yeah.
That was
Yeah.
like,
The You Complete Me thing. Yeah.
yeah.
You
The
Complete Me.
talking in the in the yard, and then the video had like the intercuts of like when she's opening the door and he's there, and then she closes it real quick and then opens it again and he's laughing. It was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that, and it had I think it's called Junk, the Paul McCartney song,
How's that?
where it's like da 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 da.
Oh, yeah, but he doesn't sing.
Yeah, no, no, he does have parts
But
where
they
you
didn't.
hear like some of it.
Oh, but you don't hear his voice as much. And then there's the Miles Davis because the
The
babysitter,
Manny,
yeah, he's holding up the Miles Davis and he's like, "This is what
yes,
you're going to listen to. It's a tape." And so there's a
right.
little bit of reference in there to the
Oh
jazz.
yeah, and he has a sort of like quality of that. Although this wasn't Cameron Crowe, but like with High Fidelity or something, where it's of that time of like 90s where guys are in record stores and they're like they like have a thesis for every album that they think is the best and are like overly explaining it to people all the time.
Yeah.
And he kind of has that vibe where he's like, this
Yeah.
is the most amazing, like whatever
Right.
it is.
Right.
And then somebody else listens to it and they're like, right, I don't,
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what
not
happened.
my
So they
taste.
put it on. They're
It's
they're
not
like
sexy.
sleeping together. They're sleeping together the first time, and they put on. He's like Jerry's like, okay, I'll put this tape in. And he's like,
Right.
what is this music?
Yeah. It's like, no,
It's
this is
not
too
that kind
off-putting.
of. Yeah, you have. That's
It's dissonant.
yeah. Where would you listen to that Miles Davis album? Like, what would be the appropriate venue or situation?
I guess in a jazz club, or I don't know. I'm not
Yeah,
as
in a
into
jazz club.
jazz.
Because it's not even like it's not a background kind of jazz. Like it's
No.
not a you talk and that's on in the background because it requires like a deeper listening, that Miles Davis tape.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just sort of not what I would go for. So I would
Yeah.
be the person that would be in like one of these movies who comes in and is looking for a record for a friend who's kind of cool. And then I would get talked at by a guy like the nanny telling me all the different layers to it and how it should be listened to and then comparing it to others, and I would at the end of the day just be like, I just need to buy something. Can you please just ring me up?
Yeah. Well, I feel like you totally would be the sister, Bonnie Hunt, who plays Laurel. She's the sister. So there's let's go over the characters because as you
Okay.
were saying that, I was totally seeing Laurel, the sister in you and like the way you are. So there's Jerry Maguire, who's Tom Cruise, I mean, he's so adorable in this role. He's so great in this role. And then there's Renee Zellweger, who is Dorothy.
Yes.
And then you have Cuba Gooding Jr., who does an amazing job as Rod Tidwell, the
Who
the,
won
the
the
football
Oscar.
player. Yeah. And Regina King as Marcy, his wife. And then,
Awesome.
yes. And then you have Bonnie Hunt playing Laurel. I
Hmm.
do feel like you could, like, if we were going to play in roles, I'm such a Dorothy kind of person, like too dreamy, like a little too dreamy.
Sure.
And she's kind of dreamy, but I'm not an accountant. That's the difference. Like, I don't know that I would be an accountant, but you feel like
No.
more of the Laurel who would just be like, because you're good at that in my world where I'm like, I get the lofty ideas, like the Fiona
Yeah.
Apple night at the tap room, and you're just like, yeah, that's not going to work.
Or
And that's what
you
Laurel's
need
like.
medical benefits. You have a child. Like,
Right. Right. But she's like, but I'm so inspired. I mean, that's like,
yeah,
very,
and that's great. And sometimes well, it sometimes, very rarely, I think, works out. But when you're in a movie with Tom Cruise, of course you're gonna, I mean, if I were in the middle of that, even Bonnie Hunt's character, Laurel, when she sees him and she's like, God, he better not be good looking. He better, and then she goes and she's like, of
yeah,
course.
yeah,
Like, how to compete with that? Like, of course you're gonna want to just, have flights of fancy
yeah.
with this guy who's like, you believe in me, so I'm believing in us. And it's
I
like,
know, I know. Well, now
it's
who's
just
Ray, the kid, the cutest little kid,
Jonathan
Ray?
Lipnicki.
Oh, Jonathan Libnicki. Okay, what's he
Yeah.
doing now? What's his story now? Do you know? You would know. You always know this stuff.
I mean, he's done acting after that, but I don't know.
He was so cute with the glasses. He like made the movie. Like I just think there should be some recognition. The reason this movie kept coming to me is because I'm working with a Philadelphia Film Society to bring some film to my students, high school students, and kind of think about film and cinematic techniques and like writing and making a film. And there is something about this film, I know there's probably other ones, but I'm such a 90s chick. It's like it's just has all the building blocks of like a great film. It's not the like auteur kind of film that,
Right.
everybody's like, you got to watch this. And I can't really stand those because they get a little pretentious, but it just
Yeah.
has so many elements that are successful and like make money. And I feel like there's a classic nature to it that I think people who want to write movies
Hmm.
need to recognize. What is he doing, right? What did Cameron Crowe do and create here that was just
Yeah.
magical? Like you put an adorable kid with glasses and make him a central
Yes.
part of the movie. Like, hello. I mean, you can't get away with that, only that, but like that paired with the romance, paired with the sports, paired with the guy who's going through a crisis, paired with the idealistic, blonde woman, like
Hmm.
you just get so much. It's just like,
It's
when
a
you actually
solid rom-com.
unpack it. Yeah. But I
And
wouldn't,
that gets kind of put down. I mean, those were really big for a long time, especially 90s, early aughts, I'd say. But then it kind of became a, like, that's looked down upon a bit, or it's not saying something deeper, whatever it is. But it's like there's something to be said for it to do a really good, well-written, entertaining rom-com all the way through. That takes some real style and talent.
it really does. I mean, and it has so many layers to reach
Yeah.
people. Like there's issue, like there's the topic of like, people who like sports, right? So they're going to watch because it's really about relationships as well. But you
Yes. Well,
but you
that's the whole
also get
thesis.
a more diverse cast than a
Yes.
lot of these movies that are just like it's either all black people, all white people, like there's no bridging. And this movie has like this helpful bridge, and it actually talks about race relations and differences
Hmm.
in a way that's really helpful and interesting and shows friendship. And it's like we don't see enough of that because I think people nowadays there's a lot of crappy romance movies on, the streaming services because people just seem
Sure.
like they want more junk and people are like making AI and all kinds of junk. But this was intelligently put together, this film, in terms of all
Yeah.
the different layers in which it speaks to an American ethos. And that's what I'm just kind
Yeah.
of inspired by in this movie. And he does it so it just seems effortless. It seems like it has a flow. It's funny, it's thoughtful, it's kind. There's layers to the characters, you know, there's depth to them.
Yeah,
I just think it's got it all. It's got it all.
I agree. Yeah. No, I mean, and it has like some of the most, and this is why some stuff I think when it comes to certain really popular romantic or romantic comedy movies get sort of degraded when they have like these sound bites, these like quotes that just right away are popular and in the zeitgeist, and then it gets overused and then it gets made fun of and like it goes through this whole cycle. But it is like the fact that they can stand out that much to such a huge audience speaks to something, like
Yeah.
that there is a real talent and value to it.
Yeah, in the
So,
writing, you
yeah.
know, like there's something in tune in the writing that creates
Yes.
those lines that then an actor can perform because it has to start. I just think that the start is the writing, you know, there
Yeah.
has to be the strong writing. So speaking of that, if because I wanted to talk about the relationships and the relationship between Jerry and Rod Tidwell,
Hmm.
which is Tom Cruise and Cuba Gooding Jr. I mean, that has some lines in it in terms of their relationship with each other and the way they challenge one another that is like, it just still sticks with me. It still
Hmm.
sticks with me because they have these really intense moments where they're completely themselves and they're challenging one another, but there's loyalty. And I think underlying a lot of the ethos of the movie is this question about loyalty
Yeah.
versus, you know, like a business where people come and go and you don't know if people are you really your friend or they're there for the money. There's
Right.
something about the decision that Rod Tidwell makes to say, I'm sticking with you, Jerry, and it's loyalty. And then once they've made that decision, like I'm sticking it out with you, they
Right.
can fight and they can have these back and forth, but they know it's gonna last. And that's something really interesting to me because you see the dichotomy, I guess, of the people who don't stay with Jerry Maguire because
Hmm.
they want to make money and they, you know, it's really about the big name of SMI, the sports agency. And then you have this one really challenging um, football player who feels like he's not getting enough credit or credibility, but
Right.
he's willing to stick it out with Jerry. I mean, I just think I love the plot line of that and
Because
also
they're
like,
like believing in each other.
yeah,
And if some of it is like also just Rod being a cheerleader to tell Jerry, like, if I have to, ride you all the way through the season, whatever it is, he's like, I'm gonna do it. So like we're in it. We're not giving up. Like that's just not the option out there. And also because he's just like, I got kids. I've got brothers that are just
yeah,
completely milking me dry. I've got ants all over my house. I need money. So like, and
right,
I need a retirement.
right,
So we're gonna do it. And like I'm locked in. You need to get locked in. And that's like
yeah.
truly what gets Jerry moving.
Well, I think the scene is Jerry's looking at the phone, the old-fashioned phone, and it's lighting up,
Oh yeah.
but Rod is keeping him on the phone because he's so busy complaining about what he
Yes.
wants. And then that's when he makes Jerry scream, "Show me the money," which is like
Yes, of
such a
course.
classic scene.
Iconic.
Like, show me the money, and then is it I love black people or I love the black man? I can't remember which he
I
makes.
love black people, I believe. Which is fine. Like, make him work for it. Because up till that point, Rod, I think, was probably right in thinking, I get more ignored.
Yeah,
Because you have your like, not for nothing, white college kid or high school, I guess he's college, who
Kush.
knows,
Yeah, it's Kush.
push
Yeah,
that you are like, that's your prime target. You want to keep him so bad because of his potential. But like, I'm out here, I've been doing it. Where are my,
right.
endorsements?
Yeah. And his wife
You know,
knows, Marcy knows all about the
I love
endorsement. She's
that.
like, we majored in marketing. It's shoe, car. Like, she's like, we came to
These
play.
are the things.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's the best because she's
I
coming in
know.
and she's like, we are educated black people. Like, do not talk to me
Yeah.
like I don't know what I'm talking about. You
Yeah,
could be doing all of these things and I'm not seeing it.
right.
So
She
like,
gives him a hard time too.
yeah,
She's
and
like,
it's
yeah,
good.
yeah,
It's just,
right.
and she's like, and I am too pregnant to be dealing with this. You're like, yes, that's someone who's going to get things done.
Yeah. But the thing that I like about the dynamic of Rod and Jerry is they get mad at each other, but there's no hard feelings. And the same with Marcy, like
Yeah,
they have these eruptions, but it's almost like it's the nature of the business and they don't they don't have hard feelings. They stick it out. And when
right.
Jerry has like a genuine question, he's really grappling with like, do I marry this woman? I mean, there is some really great back and forth. So the one with
Hmm.
Rod is, where Jerry says, do you really want the honesty? And he says, you're a paycheck player. You play like in your home. I can tell it's all heart, right? With your
Yeah,
marriage. But on the field, it's about who didn't give you this, who didn't throw the pass, and he's like, and it's just,
right.
you're not doing it with your heart. And then Rod is really upset about that. And there's this reference to the word Quan, which
Yes.
is a great word that Rod makes up, so they talk about the Quan. But then there's another conversation that they have, these hard conversations where Jerry is like, I don't want Dorothy to leave. I don't know what to do. I'm going to miss
Hmm.
her. And they have this other language that Rod makes up where he's like, did you shoplift the pootie from a single mother?
Yeah,
And like, but this conversation about she's a
it's
single
sincere.
mom. Yeah, you can't mess with her. And like
Yeah,
there's this foundational a masculine integrity that I
yeah.
think is a really interesting, the whole film is really exploring, these ideas of like what is masculine success and what does it mean to be emotionally available or unavailable, because Jerry's struggling with availability,
Sure.
success, the way it looks, he's good looking, he puts the suit on, he has the smile, but is he able to make a relationship last? All these questions.
Right.
And then Rod is kind of giving him that
He's modeling
reflection.
that
Yeah.
behavior
Yeah.
that Jerry thinks that he wants, but the problem is that Jerry kind of goes for it full throttle, where it's like, oh, instant wife and kid, and because he's like, I'm just gonna marry her, and he has that moment with Rod where Rod's like, so that was one way to go, instead of just having a conversation about, like your
Right.
relationship and what you want and like that kind of thing. Instead, it's like you were afraid of losing her, so you married her, but how much thought got put into that?
Yeah.
Not enough. And it is a little bit like, and they have the whole thing when he was supposed to be having his bachelor party from Avery.
Yeah.
And it's all like it just goes back and forth with all the women that he's had in his life that are like he can't be alone. He always has to have someone. He can't be, and it's just like can't be alone, can't be alone. And he's like taking that in. And
Yeah.
then it is like as soon as he loses the fiance,
Katie, can you hear me? I think you froze. It might be my internet connection.
what happened? Did I freeze?
Yeah, it could have been my internet connection. But
Okay, because I couldn't see me, I couldn't see you.
yeah, you were saying just, he immediately gravitates to Dorothy because he doesn't know how to be alone.
I think that's like a big part of it. And she's right there and he likes her enough and then he meets the kid and that kind of seals the deal to a big extent. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna be all in. And also maybe I'm gonna prove people wrong in some way. Like when he overhears the Dorothy and Laurel in the kitchen the day after they've just been together. And he hears like Laurel basically laying it bare as to what she thinks his deal is, and she's not wrong.
Yeah.
It almost, I do wonder if it's like, is this playing into his psychology a bit too, of like, well, I'm gonna be the stand-up guy. Like I will prove that, but not necessarily thinking about what that all entails and how a
Yeah.
fully functioning relationship with a child is gonna like take a lot more than just, you know, oaths of loyalty.
Well, and here, that's something I think that's important for people to think about because I look a lot at relationships in movies because through acting, any study of acting and theater, it's so much is about the relationships of people. And if you're acting with people, there is an energy like some people work well together because they have a certain kind of chemistry that brings out the character and other people can't really work together. So relationships and the energy in relationships are so important. I think what's interesting about the way that the relationships are set up in this film is that you see a lot of intimacy between Rod and Jerry developing
Yeah.
because it's, an intense moment. Jerry needs clients. He finally gets this one client. And then at the same time, he's leaving SMI because he really kind of put himself out there. I love that whole part of like he makes this memo and then the guy in the copy center is like it's like the catcher in the rye or so he's like that's how you become great, man. You put your something.
Balls out. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
your
think that's a musician from Alice in Chains,
Oh,
if I
is he? Is
remember.
he? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because Cameron Crowe, there's always some other
Yeah, of
musician
course.
element
Yeah.
coming in.
Yeah. But
But yeah,
she's the one. So, in that moment when everybody kind of turns against them because they're like, listen, like that's cool that you have this like idealistic thing that you
but
want to
yeah, you
be
can't put that
friends,
out
but
there.
yeah. But she's the one who says, I will go with you. So at the same time, he gets this like his client, I guess that's what Rod is called, his client.
Runs his client,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then he gets this like worker slash girlfriend. And the thing about relationships is that with a client, there are some rules, right? Like in terms of what Jerry's supposed to do, what Rod's supposed to do, and the friendship can overlap and develop. But when it
Oh,
comes
you
to
froze
romance, oh, I froze. Oh, I might have to move my
for a second, but you're good. You're good.
but with the romance with Dorothy, like it can be messier, right? And I think there people don't know the parameters oftentimes of entering into
Hmm.
that relationship, which is why they end up like connecting, falling in love, and getting married really fast and not necessarily making a wise choice. I mean, in real life, these things work or don't work. In the movie, movies have happy endings when they're romantic movies, but they didn't really discuss like what are they looking for? What's the priority? Can you hear me? I'm going to have to move, Katie. Let me move my let me move my computer because maybe it's an issue of this spot in my apartment.
There you are.
I know. I have it's the internet. I think I'm in like a weird spot that I don't know, it's annoying.
I hate that. Things are always messed up. I never know. Like some parts of the house, the internet's totally fine
I
usually, but
know.
then I don't know if it gets windy or anything, and it's like,
Yeah, it's been windy today too.
I wonder
Um
if that's causing it.
but yeah, I think they don't really know. They don't really talk. She falls in love. He's kind of in love. He doesn't want to be lonely, but they don't really talk about what are your expectations? What are you looking for?
No,
And
exactly.
and a
It's
lot of people
very
don't.
juvenile to a
Yeah.
certain degree. And the thing is that in the end, close to the end of it, that Dorothy is the one who, and I think has to be, more emotionally mature when she says to him, I'm giving you an out. Because you know what? I really wanted this. And I thought that just that alone could be enough. And I think you really, really like me, but it's not love necessarily. And I think you really, really like my kid, and you're a good guy and you'll keep doing this, but like, let's just call it what it is. We can leave it there. It doesn't have to be a bad, messy thing.
Right.
Like she's willing to be an adult about it, and she's supposed to be like 26
Right.
and just say like, look, I'm guilty and you're guilty in this, and it doesn't have to be like a whole mess. which is cool that I mean, she's the one who has to say that. And then when he comes back, of course, it's like, oh, my heart is melting when he comes back. And like the fact that he comes in and he's like got the tears going and he's like, I need to talk to my wife. Like he's losing his voice a bit. And it's all the women, divorced women support group where they're just like, just sort of like paused, holding their breath, like, oh my God.
Well, that's what I mean about the layers of intelligence in terms of the story building, because, you know, so the writer, right, Cameron Crowe, could have just said, okay, I want him to come in and have make this great speech for her. But the fact that he's planted the divorced women's group who's all upset about men and the way their relationships have gone with men, and then he
Yeah.
walks into that particular living room, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
yeah,
that there's just that's what I mean about like the layers of intelligence. Because he could have still just had, you know, Jerry comes back and she's washing the dishes and they have this wonderful moment. But the fact that you know, you put on top of it the divorced women's group. I mean, he's grappling as an artist with, and by this I mean Cameron Crowe, with so many different layers to American life and like
yeah,
yeah, just American ethos, that it's just that's what I mean about it's such an American movie, an intelligent American
for
movie. You
sure.
know? Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree. And with the divorced women's group, I do feel a little like the portrayal of this is like these wronged women who need to complain to each other and get in touch with themselves so they have this support group. I do feel like it skewers that a bit. I'm not saying it shouldn't,
Yeah, I know
but
what
there
you mean.
is a little of that like, oh, you know how these women are.
Yeah,
Like they're
there
all
is.
here
Yeah.
and there's that moment of it, but it also, I will say, it does have moments, even if it is still skewering it, but it does have moments where they're like, I didn't know that I could feel this kind of kinship with women until you got, and like that part, I'm like, I'm on board. That is
Yeah.
saying something. Where the women are actually like feel supported by each other and are able to get through this. So I was like, I'm conflicted on that one, but
It's very LA, it's very California though, because you know, it's the touchy-feely.
I guess,
I
but
think
you know,
that's
like
just
those help
touchy-feely
support
women.
group
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. But it's not
But they
hard
have like the
cartoonish.
Valley, a little bit of the Valley Girl sound, maybe, is part of it.
Right. But
Yeah.
you have like all these women of different ages that are like, you know, represented. Um, but you know, again, I still really enjoy the movie
Yeah.
and it is like still the best. Oh, but the thing is it only when it's a big theatrical moment that Jerry actually makes these big sweeping decisions and speeches in front of everyone, like when he's gotten fired from work or when he's, you know, declaring his love to Dorothy and how they need to be together. Like there's always an audience pretty much for those
Very
moments.
interesting point. So is it, it makes me think, okay, is Jerry a good guy really? And also, because I always wondered that, like, is Jerry a good guy? Like, would I want to like hang out and talk to Jerry, or is he kind of a shark or a
Loser.
superficial? And he says that he's like, I feel like I'm a shark in a suit because the way I've been operating in my job has required me
Right.
to just smile a lot and be good in the living room and close the deal.
And let the dad who's gotten how many concussions go back out there because he's got to get whatever deal. And the
Yeah.
son, it, you know, which is the early one of the things that instigates it all, his child just being like more of an adult by just being like, screw you.
Yeah.
My dad is gonna die.
Right, right. So it is interesting in terms of like him as a man looking into what level of depth he really has. And
Right.
I never felt that he had a lot of depth, but he had the great smile and the good looks and the can-do attitude, right? And
Yeah.
I think that gets you really far in America.
Yeah, of course.
I
Of
don't
course.
know though. I mean, would Jerry, if you take, you know, that character and you redo it in 2025 or something, like what would be different about the way that character would be portrayed now? Because he does seem a little flimsy in terms of his depth, Dorothy's like younger. So there's obviously like the, oh my God, he's so handsome.
Right.
And, she falls for it.
She
I don't
also
know.
thinks he's put together.
He
You know,
thinks,
like just from the outset, when, he's in first class and he was nice to her at the airport, and like it looks like he's just moving through life with a lot of ease, she is swept up in just as anybody would be when you
yeah,
first meet someone, the like superficial stuff.
right.
And then he writes the memo or the mission statement. And that does show this whole other depth and like he
Yes.
can have some introspection.
Yeah.
But, he's still himself. He still has built his career on a lot of schmoozing, wheeling, and dealing.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he also has the foresight to break off his engagement with Avery, which is still one of the best scenes. Kelly Preston as Avery is awesome. And just when I even wrote down when the whole breakup is happening and she can tell he's going to try and break up with her. And she says, I won't let you hurt me, Jerry. I'm too strong for you, loser. And she's like punched him in the face.
Yeah.
She's just like, I'll have none of this. Like at first she was like, but I do love you, even though everything you've done is wrong. Everything you've done was stupid and I can't get on board with any of it, but I do love you. And that's when he's kind of like, oh, this isn't
Yeah.
it.
And she's like, I've like, what did she do? She's climbed mountains. She's done all this stuff.
Yeah,
She goes,
I've
I can
climbed
make
mountains.
this
I can
work.
do this. I've climbed Mount Everest. I can do this. So it is kind of like, it's an interesting character because she is kind
Yeah.
of like, I will drag you. It's kind of like Rod later on. Like, I will pull you with me if need be, but it's not really a good relationship. And she is more on that superficial side, but I'd almost say
Yeah.
she's probably more in tune with that.
She knows
I
she's
think he sees
superficial, you
himself
mean?
as more of a good guy. So, like, when he realizes maybe he's not such a good guy, he really freaks out.
You mean Jerry?
Jerry, yeah,
Yeah, I think that's really like maybe the crux of the whole. And I haven't watched interviews, so I don't know what the inspiration for the
yeah, I
movie
don't know.
was. If Cameron Crowe wants to sit down and talk to me, I'll ask him a whole bunch of good questions.
Of course,
But
of course.
but yeah, I think that is essentially what happens is Jerry realizes like, oh, maybe I'm not a good guy. Maybe I'm not the person I think I am because this kid
Yeah,
kind of looks at him and like makes a snide comment and then he can't sleep at night and he's worried and he's realizing like, where's my soul? And that's
right.
really
And
like
he's
the,
got food poisoning or something
yeah,
because
yeah,
he's like having sweats and all that sort of thing. But yeah, but it forces him to have this like crisis
yeah. Which is like
moment
a
during
crisis.
the night.
But I think there's a lot. That's what I mean about thinking about that movie and the character, and if there'd be any changes in the 21st century, right? Like we are now, because I think that a lot of men are having a crisis of masculinity. They might not call it that, and I actually think women are very sensitive and compassionate about it because there's been so many changes in our, I don't know, the way we operate, the way our consciousness, the kinds of things we are exposed to that we didn't used to be exposed to. I mean, I think the
Yeah,
current president and who was elected is an example of a crisis of masculinity in this fear of
sure.
what if we don't have like masculine kind of dominating things because the man who is the president now in 2025, the only way he could win is he had to run against a woman, right? Two times he ran against a woman. He can't
That's
beat a
true.
man. He can't beat a man. He can beat a woman, though. And so
Yeah.
I don't really think that he's clearly not a healthy masculine, but there's like he's revving up some kind of
It taps into
inflamed,
something.
yeah, some kind of inflamed raw nerve in the male psyche and apparatus and working like operating system that
Yeah.
is creating like a mess, like a big mess. Because it's really like we can pretend that this guy is going to step in as like the father, right? There's like a father mentality, like I'm going to
Right.
step
Like
in
an
and create
abusive
order.
father.
Right. I'm going to step in and create order, but underneath it, there's no order. He's not really creating order. He's just creating messiness and yelling. And there's like some old 1950s domineering dad thing that America
Right.
can't let go of.
He's inflicting his trauma and abuse from his childhood, his father wounds on everyone else. And
Yeah.
that's just it, I have empathy for maybe the child. I have none now for the man.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what it feels like. It's like
Yeah.
now this is the only way I know how to operate. And in some ways, people like it because it's like, well, now I know my place within the world. When there are very defined gender types, and somehow that makes people feel falsely secure or, seen, when in reality, it's doing a disservice to everyone involved.
Well, the other thing that I think is interesting about thinking about 1996 and the kind of crisis that Jerry's going through, um,
Hmm.
is nowadays there's so much more therapy happening, right? So
Oh, yeah.
there's no therapy other than the divorced women's group. There's no like Jerry doesn't have a therapist to run to. Whereas nowadays I think there'd be therapy involved if Jerry had this, I could see that being a
Yeah,
dynamic that develops
that's
with a
true.
character who lost his job, who said this thing that no one else says in work. Um,
Right.
yeah. And Dorothy
Instead
would
of
have a
sort of,
therapist.
yeah. Well, instead of sort of, I feel like Dorothy is a bit of the life raft for him. And
Yeah.
so he clings to her and is constantly trying to say, like, we're gonna do fine. This is like he's trying to reassure her, but really it's a lot like he's reassuring himself. And she's just kind of like, okay, okay, until it's to the point of, I got this other job offer and I don't know about this
Yeah. I
situation.
don't want
Like,
to be
I
a
do need,
drain. Yeah.
yeah, I don't want to be a drain, but also like I have a kid. I can't.
Yeah, and she's an interesting character if you think about her as a woman because it's not like she's very feminine, she's very soft. She's not coming across as domineering or like a
Yeah.
women's liberation feminist kind of woman. Yet she does have self-respect, right? She has the softness
Mhm.
and the lovey-dovey nature of like, "Oh my God, he's so cute," and that's a better life. But then when and she likes that he sticks his neck out there and he takes a bold
Yeah.
step at his career. But she does also have self-respect where she's like,
I
okay,
was gonna say,
yeah,
yeah. I wrote one of the last things I wrote was Dorothy is the more emotionally mature person and she knows her worth.
yeah, yeah, she
Because she
really
does.
does. She really does. She's willing to take a leap of faith, or she's willing to kind of like,
Right.
see what she's attracted to a man, she follows it through, because she kind of knows she can get this guy. She knows, oh, he's in a sensitive spot. It's time for
Yeah.
me. But she's not going to stick around just because she
Right.
likes him.
For
She's
him
like,
to maybe keep not showing up because he's traveling and you have Rod saying to him, like, why aren't you at home?
yeah,
You have a family now. Like, why are you
yeah,
out here with me? You didn't need to come to this game. And
right.
Jerry's trying to be like, well, you wanted me to be here for you. And he's like, no. And it is him getting called out. Like, I know what you're doing. Like, you married her, you felt responsible, but now you don't know how to be. So now you're
Yeah.
hiding in your work and trying to say it's about being loyal to me, but it's not.
Right.
And Dorothy is willing to be the one who says it, like, some of this is on me. Maybe I caught you. I knew I was, in so many words, I knew I was catching you in a vulnerable spot.
Yeah.
I guess I just wanted it to work, but you know, it doesn't have to be like that.
Right.
And I don't want to be your person that, you have like a drain on. It has a drain on you
Right.
or makes you
Oh,
feel like you're being held back just because you feel like you need to keep your word.
yeah. Yeah.
So I think you froze again. There you are. No, there you are. But like that's what it kind of is. He's like, well, I gave my word, so now I have to keep it. And she's
Right.
just like, I don't want that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So it
it's
just, and then it takes that crisis with Rod to make him realize, like, oh, I want to be able to talk to you. You're the first person I want to talk to about this. And I realize what it would be like to not have you.
yeah. Yeah. It's like,
Again, I would still counsel that they get couples counseling just to make sure they're really, because it's still early on. Um, And he does seem to make decisions in really like high pressure moments that I don't know is always the best.
The Katie coaching comes through.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
I would be like, let's let's just take a step back. This is great, but we need to really find out what's going on with you inside.
yeah. But see, that's why you're like the Laurel character. You even look like her a
That
little
is
bit.
why, yes. Although, like Laurel, I would be like, well, damn. All right. Like, of
I
course. I
know.
mean, I
Yeah,
do
you
love
yeah.
when she's like she was supposed to be leaving and he, Laurel's just like, get in the car, Dorothy. Let's go. Don't, don't. And then finally she's like, Laurel, we're getting married. And she's like, uh-huh. Okay. And she's just
I
shaking her
know.
head, going like, I know what's happening. I know what's going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's nothing to really be done because it's like, well, okay.
Right. She can't control her, yeah. But
No,
it's a really, I don't know, it's a memorable kind of story and romance
it
because
is.
I think specifically because Dorothy has that paradoxical nature of
Mhm.
being sensitive and intuitive and like she
And she's
falls
a
kind of
widow,
yeah, so she
which is,
falls madly in love with him, but that doesn't mean that it dominates her decision making because she's still able
no.
to step back and she's not relying on him for money either. So she has some layers to her that I think are really
Oh, yeah,
inspiring. And she's honest, she's very sincere.
she
She's very
is.
sincere. Yeah.
She's not just
Compared
saying
in
whatever it
contrast
takes
to
to get by.
Avery, like Avery is honest in some ways, but in a way that's kind of jarring and brutal, right? When
Yeah.
Avery says some things to him, it's like, I guess it's nice that she's honest, but it's a brute. There's a brutality in
Well,
her.
because she said, remember, brutal honesty is always right. And he was like, I don't remember the brutal part when we said that.
Right,
But
right,
like,
right.
but it
Yeah,
is kind of, yeah, she's like that. And she's got to be in a certain control capacity for it to work. So that's kind of another, like that's a whole other situation that would need
yeah,
to be worked out in therapy of like
right. Yeah,
you have to be aggressive, you have to be in control, like otherwise you're not. So you're being honest, but are you being honest just because you want your way, but you're not really sure why you have to be so mean? Like,
right. Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing that's like an interesting foil because Dorothy is so gentle in her demeanor. She's
right,
gentle. It doesn't mean she's gonna stick it out with him forever because she's also like gonna, like put up a boundary when he's unavailable emotionally, but she's gentle with him and she doesn't have a chip on her shoulder and she's not coming from her ego.
right.
Like I have to prove something to this guy. She just, yeah, it's an
No,
interesting.
she just wants him, but she wants him to be like honest with himself and she wants it to be authentic. She doesn't
Yeah.
want him to just stay married just to be the good guy because
Yeah.
that's not what I'm interested in, is
Right.
basically how she has it.
Right. The other thing I wanted to talk about with the movie is
Mhm.
this corporate culture and money because it's a lot about money and the
Yes.
way
A lot
that,
of white guys in all white shirts. I notice like when they're in the boardroom and it's like maybe there's one black
yeah,
guy and then maybe two women. They're all also wearing these white dress
right,
shirts, which
right.
was just, I was
Yeah,
like, this is a very like, what was it? The Wolf of Wall Street with Matthew
yeah,
McConaughey. Like it's that kind of vibe, like
yeah,
very testosterone
yeah,
driven,
yeah. And, so
performative.
performative, yeah. And there's so much about, how much money people are making, how much money you can, negotiate as an agent. And it's interesting because I mean, not a lot of it doesn't go into money in super detail, but Rod is really insistent on making more money and feeling like he's not getting the right amount of money as a football player in Arizona,
Right.
right? He's making comparisons. And I
But
mean,
that's like a good thing to a certain extent, even though sometimes we see that as a negative where it's like, you shouldn't be so about me, 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 but you do sort of see where he's coming from in that like, oh, I'm your number one priority now because you lost everybody else.
Yeah.
But I didn't see you being here for me for a lot of other things. And yeah, that's a chip on his shoulder, but it's like it's a chip that was earned on his
Yeah.
shoulder.
Well, and I guess the memo statement or the mission statement, because Jerry's really specific, it's a mission
Yes,
statement,
it's more of a mission
you
statement.
know, the things he titles it, the things we think and do not say, right?
Yes.
And so all the he's saying I want to highlight personal relationships with our
Mhm.
clients as agents and start thinking about the relationships we have and less about how much money we're bringing in because he's realizing that like if a man's life doesn't matter and it's only the dollars, there's something wrong with that ethos. And Bob Sugar, who's played by what is it, Jay Moore? Yeah, Jay Moore is like, oh yeah, you said it, you wanted less money,
Mhm.
so we're done. You know, you can go do your own thing. Um,
Yeah,
so, but I think
right.
what is it about like I don't follow sports very closely. I can watch a game and enjoy it, but I just don't like
Me neither.
follow the stories around sports and how much people are making and it's kind of insane though when I do find out. I'm like, what is this?
Of
Like
course it is.
and like what could you
And there's
do
major
with that
pay
money?
disparities.
Yeah, and what could you do with that money? Like what is the obsession with sports and what does it provide that would cause that level of, money for I just don't understand it. What is it? What's it about?
I don't know.
It's like a
Because
it's like a cathartic experience to watch people battle outside of your
it's
own.
like they're your avatar, like they're your home team or you just get it's something to identify with and it
Yeah.
provides a certain community, I think. But also, gambling's gone up. All different kinds of ways to gamble have really blown up
Oh.
in all areas, which is causing a whole other problem with especially like adolescent to young men being having way too much access to like you don't have to go to a casino anymore. You can just do everything online and
Oh.
gamble. And then that adds a whole other element where it's like it's kind of fun to watch the game and maybe win money, but then it's also like it can be really bad for you in a real job because you're trying to make money and maybe constantly losing money. It's just like it's gambling. It's never going to turn out
Yeah.
awesome for
Yeah.
the select few.
Okay. So the okay. Yeah, it's just I don't know. I just I don't it's not peaceful. I guess people like the high of a win and
Sure.
the bonding that occurs in watching the sport.
Mhm.
I just
Yeah.
I enjoy watching sports and seeing who wins, but like this movie explores the behind the scenes,
Oh,
how
yeah.
people are being paid and the amounts of
For
money and the
commodities
commissions. Yeah.
and the wheeling and dealing of people and sort of taking the whole personal side of it out because it's not about that. It is
Yeah.
about the money. It is about
Yeah.
what I can get for whomever and how many years do they have left. So they got to make however many games or, to be able to have a retirement and having a short shelf life too. Like,
Yes, right.
and they're not
Right.
even though it has the thing in the beginning about the guy, the hockey player who's gotten, it's like his fourth concussion that year or whatever. It weren't going into it, but like that's like the traumatic brain injury stuff that's happening where
Right.
it's like people having major health problems, committing suicide, sometimes killing others because they have dementia and other problems caused by this career that
Right.
they had for maybe 10 years.
Yeah. Well, there's so
So,
much about masculinity, these ideas of masculinity and being tough. There's, I mean, it's just keeps, it seems to penetrate multiple generations. The idea of masculinity as being tough and like physically tough. But there's something I think about masculinity that's healthy, that's not about being in competition, making a lot of money, that's an ability to hold space for people's experiences and like
mhm.
be grounded. And the way it's described a little bit spiritually is like The feminine has the healthy feminine is a flow like water, and the masculine is the cup that holds the water,
Hmm.
right? So there needs to be a container for all of that flow, but it doesn't need to be a container that is saying, I need to conquer, I need to dominate, I need to win, I need to overcome this thing or that thing. Because life is
Right.
challenging enough, but I mean, it is a huge American pastime. I've met I think there are football players, especially men who are doing some really tough kind of work physically. They often are really kind and gentle. Like I've found, like some of them, not all of
Sure.
them, but some of them that I've met, you might have this idea, oh, this guy's a big guy or whatever, but I've never, I've felt that there's not a stereotype that's fair, because men
Sure.
that do that can be very kind and gentle people, because they're getting out a lot of the energy and they're
Yeah.
working on those hormones. Um, but I
Or
also
to be
think,
able to be in certain games and to have that focus, you have to have an
yeah,
ability to sort of be able to kind of meditate
yeah,
in a certain and get yourself into different states.
right,
So you can go from you're sitting down having dinner with your family, and
yeah,
then next
yeah.
thing you're out on a field and it's like the Super Bowl or whatever it
Yeah,
is.
endurance. It's a
Yeah,
lot
you
about
gotta like be
endurance.
able to compartmentalize to a
Yeah,
degree and get yourself in the zone. I mean, that's
right.
always a big thing. Get in the zone.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So
there is
I,
that softer side, like you were talking about, where when Jerry and Rod have their moment where Rod wakes up and they're hugging and stuff, and you have the one guy speaking to his agent where he goes,
yeah,
"How come you never do things like that with me?" And it's
right,
like, because maybe
right.
he needs connection.
Right. Connection and love is like a huge part. So what I love
Yeah.
about the arc of the story, the arc of the whole story, is that Jerry is having this, like, maybe you could call it a midlife crisis or an existential crisis of figuring out,
Yeah.
who am I really? And he decides that relationships matter more than a bank account, than money. And his
Yes.
career has been defined by money and that kind of thing, but he's realizing relationships matter more. And he takes this huge leap of faith to do that and sees a lot of loss as a result, a lot of pushback, a lot of
Yeah.
challenge. But the arc is that, like, it's worth it in the end,
Yeah.
because the relationships really did matter more than the money, and the money came later,
Right.
you
And the
know?
people that matter, they're still there, and the
Yeah.
relationships you need, but the all the other stuff was just it needs to fall away
Yeah.
because that's going to strip you down to who you really are and who you really need in your life. And
Right.
also, I do like the interspersing of uh, Jerry's dead mentor, where
Oh
he like, has
yeah.
those moments, and
Vicky
he's
Fox or
basically
something?
saying all those things where he's like, you got to have a great family, you got to, where he's like, it's about people, it's about
Yeah.
relationships,
Yeah.
and that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, so Jerry's like getting reminded throughout of these
Right.
pieces of wisdom.
I know, and I love that he has those little that mentorship, because yeah, I mean, it is a really interesting story in the way that when you think about literature and the story of, like, the hero's journey or the coming of age kind of tale. I don't know if there's a phrase for this. It's not, I don't know that it's coming of age because he's older, but it's a similar kind of mentality of his journey. Um, I would be interesting to look at a woman who in a male dominated field, and what sort of journey she would have in that, vibe. I don't
Yeah,
know. Like, because we have a tendency, and I've taught literature long enough in different places, where our sense of the universal human experience tends to be a male human experience, and the feminine or the woman is ancillary or second. Um, I think that oftentimes
yeah,
it's like, oh, this is women's literature, right? Because the central is the male experience. So it would be interesting to watch, like, if Dorothy was the center. Now that's an interesting thing. The Wizard of Oz has a feminine kind of hero's journey or heroine's journey with Dorothy,
yeah,
the Wizard of Oz. But this Dorothy, and maybe that's why he named her Dorothy. It would be interesting to think of, like, the woman accountant who's looking for inspiration, and she's central, and it's
yeah.
her own exploration of, oh my God, did I make a good decision? What if this guy leaves me and my kid? Is my kid doing okay? You know, you seeing her calling the school, you're seeing her talk to her sister, and the guy who she's interested in is just kind of outside. He comes in and out, but she's the central character. She's the one we're watching in her
Right.
alone, you know, anguish of thinking and what does she want with her life. It would be an interesting way to parallel, you know, and I'm sure there are plenty that do
Sure.
that, but a lot of times those are like maybe biopics or something where it's like a historical character of a woman and what she did, not so much the hero's journey, but it's really the heroine's journey, and you see
Yeah.
her crisis and her arc and what she
Well,
comes out to.
that's like, and it is a
Barbie, I
biopic
guess.
thing.
Barbie is a little bit of that, I
Well,
guess.
there's that, and that's different.
Yeah.
But also like I only watched maybe the first couple episodes, but Running Point on Netflix, where it's Kate Hudson is playing sh the she's part of a family. This is all real. That it's a basketball, like maybe it's the Lakers or maybe not the Lakers, but whatever it is, she has brothers, and they end up not being the next in line to be the manager or the general manager, and she's
Yeah.
like the first woman to be doing
Oh,
that with a big team, and it's based on this real person, uh, but it's like a comedy drama show about
yeah.
her stepping in and having to like handle all these different things that traditionally only men do.
Yeah.
And it's like a men's team. It's not like, oh, women's basketball. Not that that's even any easier, but like is more acceptable, I guess.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah,
I
I wish
like
I could
that.
remember
I didn't
more
know
about it, but
about
it's
that.
called Running Point.
Oh, Running Point. Okay. I don't have Netflix anymore. I have HBO though.
Uh, if you happen upon it at some other point. It's
All
got
right.
Kate
So,
Hudson, it's got some other, it's a good cast.
yeah. Cool. All right. So, I wrote a little script as I tend to do for these little film podcasts we do, and it's cheesy. I'm just warning you. It's really cheesy. I wrote it really fast, but you
You
know,
don't always have to do this,
I like to challenge myself. I, I
in as
like,
little time as possible.
yeah, it's like I just want to, often want to see what I can squeeze into a period of time. Like, I don't know what it
Uh-huh.
is about me. It's like a part of me. Flaw or asset, I do not know which, and people can decide what they think it is. But so let's read it.
Let me find it.
It's like too cute. It's cheesy. It's like it's vanilla, not Vanilla Sky-ish, speaking of Cameron Crowe, but it's like a little vanilla. Um, so it's Jerry Maguire gets old and wise. And I was just imagining like the future of what happens down the road, you know, because we often have the romance with the happy ending.
Yeah.
And what happens down the road when people get older. So I envisioned this is Jerry at age 80 and his daughter Megan. And I made her 37, which would mean that he had her at what age? 43. That may be too old for him, but I don't know how old he was. 43? That's okay, right?
How old was he at the time? I mean, he was in his 30s at the
I
time.
know. So I figured you know, the sense is that he marries Dorothy and then eventually they have this daughter.
Sure.
And this is Megan. Okay. So you have it in front of you?
Yep.
Okay. Do you want to be Jerry or Megan? We're yawning at
It
the same.
doesn't matter to me on this one. What do you want?
Oh God. How about you be Megan? I'll be Jerry.
Okay.
Okay. And I'll read the intro part.
Intro.
Jerry and Megan are in a park in Seattle, Washington. She has just moved there for a job and he has helped her with moving. Now they are enjoying a cup of coffee and reflecting about the tides of life. This, I'm just warning you, it's cheesy. You're going to need crackers after this, but go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
Can't wait. Dad, what would you have been if you weren't a sports agent?
I probably would have been a math teacher
Really? A math teacher? Why math?
because it's a useful skill. People always need math and you don't have to justify it. Also, people need to understand math so they can understand making money.
So where would you have taught? A private school, college, public school?
I don't know. I think about it sometimes. I imagine transforming young teens' minds. That would be really inspiring, I think, to wake up every day and inspire teenagers. That would have been something.
Well, Dad, you inspired teenagers in a way through sports. You were more of a behind the scenes guy, though.
Yeah, it's definitely not the same. In that world, the money got out of hand. People lost their hearts. They forgot what they were playing for. So competitive.
Okay. Oh, excuse me. I remember what you said about Bob Sugar and SMI. I wouldn't have lasted there for a minute. Tech is a better fit for me.
I think you would have done well there, Meg. And we needed more young women sports agents. People would have benefited from seeing a friendly face like you.
My face isn't that friendly.
With me, it is.
Well, that's because you're my dad, and I am a sucker for you.
Your face was friendly to your mom, too. What's wrong?
Sometimes.
It's so bad, right? It's like a PS. It's like I wrote a PSA. Keep going, though. We have to
No,
like
no,
just
it's not even
celebrate
that. I
celebrate the
was,
badness.
I was, honestly, I was having trouble scrolling. So don't jump to conclusions, Dad. Uh, Sometimes it was, I really miss her.
Me too. I think she would have loved to be with us on this park bench, sipping coffee. And Ray, I wish he was here with us too, but he's so busy with his own family in Maine.
It's so rare for us all to be together under one roof. Mom would have liked that, having us all together. We'll have to plan a holiday and know she's with us in spirit. But will people want to come and visit me in Seattle? So much rain.
We can plan for it. I'll pay for the tickets. It's a nice idea. For now, you have to focus on getting your apartment ready so you can be very successful with this new gig. Wake up early every morning, read something inspirational, drink only the best coffee Seattle has to offer. Well, that is it for our exploration of the 1996 film Jerry Maguire on the Ms. Wonderful Film Club podcast. I am your host, Ms. Wonderful, self proclaimed, because I think we need Ms. Wonderfuls in the world. And I think we can do a little bit at a time to make the world more wonderful just by being wonderful ourselves. So, thank you to my guest, Ms. Cool, my best friend Katie, coming to us from Baltimore. I am in Philadelphia, and you can read more blog posts and information about a feminine gaze and a feminine lens for film on mswonderful.substack.com. That's spelled MS wonderful.substack.com. Thank you for joining us and have a wonderful day.